So the part on the end is called your restrictions. Make sure you write that down. And this kind of tells you where one piece starts and one piece ends on your graph. So these two pieces will start and end at the x value of 0. They also tell you when we're evaluating which piece to plug these values into. Now, notice the difference between f of x and f of negative 2. They just want us to replace x with what? Yes, but we have to find out which piece to plug it into, and that's where our restrictions come in. So negative 2, is that less than 0 or greater than or equal to 0? Yes, so this is the piece we're plugging it into, x squared. So they just want us to replace x with what? And that value is going to be, y'all know this, 4. That's it. So for f of 0, the next one, do we plug it in the top or bottom? How do you know? So when we plug in 0 into this piece, that's going to give us what? Very good. So for the last one, go ahead and do f of 1 on your own. Find out which piece, then plug it in for x. And what y'all get? Good. Any questions about those? Now just to clarify, we plugged in what with this? We plugged this in for what? This is our x value. What do you think we just found? Our y value. Good. So if we were to graph this, the coordinate point would be what? Good. Negative 2, 4. So what we're doing is plugging in an x value and finding the y value at this x value, just to clarify. Now let's do just this one on our own, or excuse me, together, and then you'll do these on your own. What piece does this go into? Top or bottom? Top. But is there anything for us to plug this into? No, there's no x. So what do you think our y value is? Just 5. Very good. Go ahead and do the other two on your own. So if there's nothing to plug it into, it's just that constant number. Alright, Alex, what did you get for f of 2? Alright, Sierra, what did you get for f of 5? 7. Everybody agree? Good. Do the other 3 on your own. Alright, compare your answers with people around you. So ask each other what you have. Don't be antisocial. you have a question? No, ma'am. Alright. Amy, what'd you get for f of negative 6? Very good. Bryant, what'd you get for f of 7?
2.
And Evan, what'd you get for this one?
Negative 22 over 3.
Alright, what do y'all think about these? Is there anyone we need to change? Anyone we need to go over? Everybody's good with these? Yes. The third one. Okay. So f of 9 is plugged into which piece? 1, 2, or 3? 3. So tell me how to rewrite this, Toby, instead of putting x. Alright, so simplify this for me. Oh, so you changed it to a decimal. So 0.3 repeating? Okay, so this plus 7 would give us? That's fine. I don't care if you put it as a decimal or fraction. If you put it as 7 1/3, that's fine. Okay. Any questions on that one? Alright, now let's get to graphing. So the reason we did this is, again, to find x and y values. That's what we have to do on these two. Okay, so we have two different pieces, so you're going to make two different tables, one for each piece. Our restrictions tell you what x value to start with in both tables. Even this one, even though it doesn't have a bar underneath, we still have to include 2, and I'll explain why in a second. So always start off with 2 on each one. Now, for this top piece, the rest of the values need to be what? Less than 2. So give me 2 of them.
1, 2.
Alright. I only want you to have 3 for each for the test too. Okay? And then for the second piece, they need to be greater than 2, so give me 2. Alright. And now we just practiced on how to find the y values. So to find the y value for this one, we plug 2 in for what? Into which piece? The top one. So what would be 2 minus 4? And what would this y value be? Negative what? 3. And this one? Very good. Does everybody see where we got those y values? Okay, and then for this piece, we plug these in. So what would the y value be for this one? Good. Alright, the last thing we need to do is see if these are inequalities. And remember when we were graphing inequalities on a number line? This one, if you were to graph this on a number line, would this have an open or closed circle? Good, because there's no bar underneath. So at this x value of 2, it's going to have an open circle. That's why we had to include it on our chart. Because even though it's not included in this piece, there's going to be an open circle. This one's going to have a what? Good. Just at this point, just when x is 2. The rest of these points that we're going to graph, you're going to have to put a dot there, but I want you to make sure we don't mistake this dot with this one. So make these smaller. I don't want you to mistake these as our restriction point. Let's graph these 3 first, the first piece. So 2, negative 2, you're going to put an open circle at 2, negative 2. The next point is going to be 1, negative 3, and put a smaller dot. Because again, that's not our restriction point. We're just trying to figure out where to draw our line through. The next one, 0, negative 4, is going to be right here. Now when you draw the pieces, always start from your restriction point, which is right here, and then just go through those dots. Those other dots. That's the first piece. So we're done with that one. Now let's draw the bottom piece. So at 2, 1, you're going to put a closed circle. That's our restriction point. At 3, 1, you're going to draw kind of a smaller circle. At 4, 1, kind of a smaller circle. And when I draw my line, I start with at where? The closed circle, and just draw them through the smaller ones. That's it. Now, I know it says in the directions to find the domain and range. Again, we're just worried about graphing today. On Monday, we'll figure out how to do domain and range of these graphs. Alright, flip it over. So we are going to do 7 together. The reason why is because it has 3 pieces, so it's a little tougher. And then I'm going to let you do 5 and 6 on your own. So for 7, how many tables do you think we'll need? 3. For 3 different pieces. Again, you'll just need 3 values for each one. Alright, this is for my first piece, this is for my second, this is for my third. For my first piece, tell me my 3 x values I can use. So we always start with which number? And then we'll need, and good. Now this middle one's a little tricky because it has 2 x values, right? So we're going to have to put both of these on our chart. So let me put -4 and 2 at the bottom. I put -4 first just because I'm reading left to right. And now I just need one value that's in between here. And it can be any whole number. 1. Okay, we can do 1. And the reason I do that, I just want to see how my line's going to look. I just need to know what dot to draw through. So it doesn't matter which one. Okay, and on this one, give me my 3 values I can use. Good. Now to find the y values for my first piece, that's going to be what? All of them are what? Good. Then for my second piece, I'm plugging these in for x. So Toby, tell me my 3 y values. So when I plug -4 in for the second piece, I'll get what? And the next one?
1.
Next one?
2.
Good. Alright, for my last one, Madison, tell me my y values that I'll get.
4.
Next.
3.
Next one?
2.
Good. So everybody see where we get those y values from? Everybody's good with that part? Alright, Brandon, on this first piece at -4, will it be open or closed circle? Good. Connor, at -4 it'll be
Open.
and then at 2 it'll be
Open.
good. There's 2 inequalities, so these will both be open circles. Again, because there's 2 inequalities for each number. And then Rihanna, on this one, it'll be what?
Close.
Good. Alright, let's graph this first piece first. So graph these 3 coordinate points. So -4, -3. We'll have a closed circle. Then at -5, -3. Smaller circle right here. And just connect the dots. So everybody's first piece should look like that. Everybody good with the first piece? Alright, the next piece at -4, -4 should be an open circle. And then at 1, 1 there should be a smaller circle. And then at 2, 2 open circle. And then just connect those. Is everybody good with the second piece? Alright, then last one, 2, 4 should have a closed circle. 3, 3 should be a smaller circle. 4, 2 smaller circle. And then connect your points. Alright, so how do we feel about graphing piecewise functions? Iffy? Would y'all feel comfortable trying the 5 and 6 on your own? Alright, do that. Then when you get done with both, like, raise your hands just so I can come check and see if they're correct. If you have questions or need help, let me know. compare your graphs. So compare your graphs, make sure they look alike. And then I need 2 volunteers. Alright, Caleb and Evan, y'all come on up. You can bring your papers if you need them. I want y'all to make, one person make one chart, one person make the other one for this one. Move out of the way. So Caleb, you make the chart for one piece, and then Evan makes the other. Evan, now you draw that piece. And Caleb, you're going to draw your piece. What do y'all think? Is that what y'all got for y'all's y values, x values? Is this what y'all's graph looks like? Do we need to go over the other one, number 6? Very good. I'll just quickly show you what it looks like so you can compare it. So do we need to go over that one? That's good. Alright, now let me tell you about a shortcut since we learned how to do it the long way. Okay, so looking at number 5, everybody knows that f of x is the same thing as what? Y. Good. So I could rewrite this as y equals x plus 3, right? All you have to do, if you can do this, if not, it's fine, but is find out what this first point is when you plug in -1, which was what for this piece? 2. All you have to do is graph -1, 2, which is right here. And then this slope is 1, correct? So couldn't you go down 1, back 1, down 1, back 1? Instead of making a table? The only thing is, you just have to make sure that from -1, it's supposed to go to which way? Which way is this pointing? No, this is pointing to the what? Left. So from this point, once you've graphed it, you know that your line has to go to the left, and now you can just use your slope to move. Same thing for here. This slope is 2, right? So once you find out that this is -1, -2, go to -1, -2. My graph's going this way, I just go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. Do y'all like making the tables better or this way better? I think y'all just like tables because y'all used to it now. But anyways, once you get familiar with it, you won't have to make a table. You can just look at the slope and go from there. Alright? Let's see. Let's go over just how to do one domain and range. So flip paper over. Let's go back to this one. Let's do the domain and range for this. So domain is talking about what? X values, right? X values are on this axis from side to side. So what the domain is asking is how far left is your graph going and how far right is your graph going. Okay? So looking at this graph, how far left does this go? 0? So there's no other points on this side of 0. Let me ask you something. As this goes on forever, wouldn't this go left forever? Yes. So how far left does it go? Not just infinity. Good. Now, it has this hole right here, correct? So you would think maybe at x equals 1 that there's no value. But is that true? Stay with me. Because this hole is covering up this x value, right? So there is a value at x equals 1, and what's that y value? Is this 2 right here? I'm sorry. At x equals 2, what's the y value? No, there's a hole there. It's what? 1. Where this hole is. So at x equals 2, the y value is 1. Everybody see that? It couldn't be negative 2. There's a hole there. It's not defined there. Does that make sense? No? Yeah. Okay. But that's kind of irrelevant to the domain. So anyways, it goes left forever. How far right would this go? So it'd be... Very good. That's the domain. So you're just looking at how far left, how far right. It's going to go left forever as this goes. It's going to go right forever this way. Does that make sense? Now for range, it's a little trickier. Range is talking about how low does your graph go and how high does it go. It's talking about your y values, right? So start with how low. How low will this graph go?
Negative infinity.
Negative infinity. Very good. But it stops where? So is there any y values from... Let me make this. From here to here, is there any y values?
No.
No. Everybody see that? So for example, there's no y value here, no y value here, and it's just at negative 2 and 1. Everybody see that? The y values? So where does it stop at this piece? What y value?
Negative 2.
Very good. But we have another piece, don't we? Okay. How high, or excuse me, how low does this graph go? This piece?
1.
1. How high does it go?
1.
1. It's just constant, right? So if it's just 1 point constant like this, you'll write comma, and instead of a coordinate point, it's just that one value. I know I'm blowing y'all's mind right now, but just stay with me. It'll get easier the more we do it. Alright, one more. Flip it over. So for domain for this one, how far left is it going? Negative infinity. Good. Sorry, that's supposed to be parentheses. And how far right is it going? Infinity. Is everybody with me? Goes left forever. As this goes up, it's going to go right forever. Correct? Now let's talk about how tall and how low. How low will this graph go? Good. How high will this graph go?
2.
Are you sure? Because right here at 2, doesn't it keep on going?
Oh,
Yes. To what?
infinity.
Good. The difference between this one and the last one is it skipped a y value. This one, it just goes straight on through. It hits this graph, then it picks right back up in here and goes that way. We'll start here Monday.